Breaking news out of Pittsburgh. The Steelers have shocked the NFL world with their final 53-man roster, and there are some big surprises you need to hear about. Who made the cut, and which moves could still be coming? Stay tuned, because what's about to happen in the next 24 hours could change everything for this team. Script rewritten and more compelling. The Pittsburgh Steelers' official 53-man roster has been revealed, and it's raising eyebrows across the league. Head coach Mike Tomlin and GM Omar Khan have made some bold decisions, and today we break it all down. But before we dive into the details, if you want the fastest Steelers updates before anyone else, make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and hit that bell icon right now. Because before you hear the latest news, you don't want to miss a single breaking story. Alright, let's jump right into it. The Steelers are carrying 4 quarterbacks on their initial roster: Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, and rookie Will Howard. That's unusual, and it's got fans talking. According to Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Will Howard, their 6th-round pick, is expected to land on injured reserve at some point, which would open up a roster spot. This move could mean we'll see a new signing or even a trade very soon, possibly a wide receiver or another key position. That's why all eyes are on Omar Khan right now. If a roster move is coming, and it's looking likely within the next 24 hours, you'll want to be ready. For now, the Steelers will start the season with 3 active quarterbacks: Rodgers, Rudolph, and Thompson. Skylar Thompson impressed during the preseason and earned that QB3 role. The question now is what happens after the first 4 weeks. Will Howard come back from IR to compete? Or will the team stick with Thompson longer than expected? Either way, this roster is far from finished. Bold moves are on the horizon, and we'll have every update for you as it happens. Will Howard's injury situation almost guarantees he'll spend the opening month of the season on injured reserve. That move frees up a valuable roster spot, and it gives Omar Khan a key decision to make within the next day. Now let's talk about the rest of the offense. At running back, the Steelers are sticking with 3: Jaylen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, and rookie Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. It's a smart, streamlined approach. As talented as Trey Sermon and Lou Nichols are, there just wasn't a practical reason to keep more than 3 backs this year. Tight end looks exactly as many expected. Jonnu Smith, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, and Connor Hayward all made the team. And remember, Hayward doubles as a hybrid tight end/fullback. So when Pittsburgh lines up with 2 backs, don't be surprised to see him in the backfield alongside whoever is at running back. The Steelers will also roll into Week 1 with 5 receivers: DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin III, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skowronek. Skowronek's value isn't flashy, but his run blocking and special team skills are crucial. Still, don't be shocked if this group changes soon. When Howard officially hits IR, that extra roster spot could easily be used on another wideout. Who might that be? There are some interesting names floating around the league. 2 players with strong ties to Aaron Rodgers could become available via trade: Allen Lazard and Romeo Doubs. Both have chemistry with Rodgers going back to Green Bay, and Lazard spent last season with him on the Jets. Jets insiders have suggested Lazard could be on the move, and the fit makes a lot of sense. Just last year, he posted 37 catches for over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns with Rodgers throwing to him. Outside of DK Metcalf, no current Steelers receiver matched that production. If Pittsburgh can snag him for something like a late-round pick, this is a move that could quickly bolster their passing attack. Allen Lazard isn't an elite route technician or a highlight reel superstar, but he brings traits the Steelers can use. At 6'5" and 227 pounds, he provides size and physicality that Pittsburgh's receiving core largely lacks. Most importantly, he already has an established rhythm with Aaron Rodgers, something you can't manufacture overnight. That alone makes him worth monitoring closely. Then there's Romeo Doubs, another familiar face from Rodgers' Green Bay days. According to Sports Illustrated's Bill Huber, Rodgers even contacted the Packers right before roster cutdowns to ask about Doubs' status. That speaks volumes. Doubs is a sharp route runner with a strong frame, though he's had some durability concerns and a few drops. Even so, his production as a rookie in 2022, over 40 receptions, 400-plus yards, and 3 touchdowns with Rodgers throwing to him, hints at his upside. A reunion in Pittsburgh wouldn't be shocking, especially with an open roster spot looming once Will Howard heads to IR. Beyond Lazard and Dew, there are other names floating around the rumor mill, though some are long shots. Tyreek Hill? Unlikely. San Francisco's Jawan Jennings or Las Vegas's Jacoby Myers? Both would be ideal number 2 options, but neither team seems interested in moving them. Adam Thielen is reportedly available, but Carolina's asking price remains high. As for Alec Pierce, it's unclear if the Colts are even listening to offers despite speculation. On the free agent front, the Steelers have already looked at Gabe Davis twice while he recovers from a knee injury, suggesting continued interest. Odell Beckham Jr. has spoken with both Pittsburgh and Rodgers about a potential fit, but no deal has materialized. Other available veterans include Nelson Aguilar, who carved out solid moments in Baltimore, and DJ Chark, a bigger-bodied deep threat still on the market. Finally, there are waiver wire options and street free agents like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, another Rodgers favorite, who wouldn't even require a waiver claim. The bottom line? Pittsburgh has multiple avenues to upgrade its receiver room, and Omar Khan's next move could come from any of these pools of talent. Among the potential names floating around, Marquez Valdez-Scantling stands out. A former Rodgers teammate in Green Bay, he knows the quarterback's timing and rhythm better than most. His size and blazing speed have made him a dangerous vertical threat throughout his career. What makes him especially intriguing? Last season with New Orleans, he averaged an eye-opening 11 yards per target, a figure that ranks near the top of the league. He hauled in 4 touchdowns in just 8 games while serving as a true field stretcher. If the Steelers need someone to step in as a boundary receiver should DK Metcalf miss time, MVS's deep speed and chemistry with Rodgers could make him a perfect fit. But he isn't the only intriguing option. Trey Palmer, one of the fastest players in the league, is a name Pittsburgh has already explored. Reports earlier this offseason indicated the Steelers called Tampa Bay about him. Palmer isn't as tall as MVS, but his top-end speed, yards after catchability, and surprising effort as a blocker make him a versatile weapon. His rookie year didn't produce gaudy numbers, yet he showed flashes that suggest much more potential. Another name worth monitoring is A.T. Perry, who was recently waived by Denver. At 6'5", he offers size, quick feet, and a more diverse route tree than many bigger receivers. His early camp injury limited his chance to stand out, but the talent is there, and at just 25 years old, he could be a valuable developmental pickup. There's also Will Shepard, an undrafted rookie who turned heads at Colorado with his ability to win contested catches, and Malachi Corley. The Corley projects more as a gadget-type slot piece rather than the outside presence Pittsburgh truly needs. His skill set doesn't directly solve the team's biggest depth question behind Metcalf, which is why MVS or Perry feel more realistic. The wide receiver market is loaded with possibilities, and none of these scenarios are off the table. Omar Khan has options, from proven veterans with Rodgers' trust to high-upside young talent. Whoever he chooses could play a major role if injuries or depth issues arise later this season. Now here's the big question every Steelers fan is asking. Will Pittsburgh add another wide receiver before Week 1? If they do, which name makes the most sense? That decision could shape the offense in a huge way, and Omar Khan has more than a few intriguing options on the table. While that storyline continues to develop, let's shift our focus to the trenches, where games are truly won and lost. The starting offensive line for Pittsburgh is officially set. Broderick Jones, Isaac Seumalo, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautanu. No surprises there. This group has been the projected starting 5 for months. The best part? They're heading into the season fully healthy and ready to protect Aaron Rodgers and open lanes for the run game. Depth is always crucial, and the Steelers made an important decision there as well. Calvin Anderson secured his spot on the initial roster and, importantly, will not be placed on injured reserve to start the year. That gives Pittsburgh a versatile swing tackle option right out of the gate, bolstering what already looks like one of the more promising offensive lines this franchise has fielded in years. It looks like Calvin Anderson is trending in the right direction health-wise, which is huge for Pittsburgh's offensive line depth. Andrus Peat also deserves credit. The veteran impressed in the preseason, showcasing his versatility to play both guard and tackle when needed. Behind them, Spencer Anderson and Ryan McCollum round out the depth chart, giving the Steelers a solid mix of youth and experience up front. Now let's flip to the other side of the ball, and here's where things get interesting. The Steelers made a somewhat surprising move by keeping 8 defensive linemen on the initial 53-man roster. The starting trio is set: Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and DeMarvin Leal. But with Leal dealing with an early injury, Bryden Fehoko will need to shoulder more work in the opening weeks. Alongside them, Pittsburgh held on to Daniel Archibong, Isaiah Loudermilk, Logan Lee, and Armon Watts. Carrying this many interior linemen is unusual, but it shows how much value the team places on depth and rotation in the trenches. On the edges, the pass rushing unit remains as expected. T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith headline the group, with Nick Herbig as the top rotational option. Rookie Jack Sawyer from Ohio State rounds out the edge spots and could see situational snaps early on. Inside linebacker is another area of intrigue. Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson will handle the bulk of starting duties, while Cole Holcomb mixes in to keep everyone fresh. Malik Harrison brings special teams value and solid depth, and rookie Carson Brunner will take on a developmental and special teams role similar to what Mark Robinson provided last season. The secondary is where the real surprises emerge. Pittsburgh is carrying only 3 true safeties, and one of them, Miles Killebrew, is primarily a special teams weapon. That leaves Juan Thornhill and Deshaun Elliott as the main defensive safeties. The Steelers cut Chuck Clark, but don't rule out a reunion if roster flexibility allows. This roster structure also hints at a potential role change for Jalen Ramsey. Expect him to see significant snaps at safety if injuries occur, with players like Brandon Echols or Dante Kent shifting into the cornerback rotation. And speaking of Kent, his inclusion is one of the bigger shocks. After missing nearly all of training camp with a lower body injury, he still earned a spot on the 53-man roster, a sign of the team's belief in his upside. And honestly, this might have been the biggest surprise of the day. The Steelers have made it clear all offseason how highly they value Dante Kent, and even though he barely saw the field during camp, they clearly see him as a future piece at slot corner. That belief speaks volumes. Brandon Echols also turned heads. His training camp was outstanding, and his versatility is a huge asset. He can line up inside or outside, and when you pair that with Jalen Ramsey's ability to move all over the secondary, outside, nickel, even safety, it gives this defense incredible flexibility. Now, if you're wondering about Corey Trice Jr., he wasn't cut. He's on injured reserve and will miss at least the first 4 weeks, but the Steelers are still invested in his potential long-term. On special teams, there were some unexpected twists too. Chris Boswell secured the kicking job as expected. Corliss Whiteman surprisingly beat out Cameron Johnston at punter after a fantastic camp. And Christian Kuntz remains the long snapper despite nursing a minor injury. He should be back for week 1. But of course, cut-down day always brings some tough departures. Trey Sermon and Lou Nichols didn't make the roster. There simply wasn't room. Robert Woods, Kashon Williams, and Brandon Johnson were also released. Johnson's foot injury didn't help his case. Other notable names include Dylan Cook, who could still land on the practice squad; DeMarvin Leal, a once promising pick whose time in Pittsburgh has officially run out; Mark Robinson, the longtime special teams ace, now replaced by Carson Brunner; Beanie Bishop Jr., despite his knack for turnovers, was edged out, likely due to coverage concerns and size limitations; James Pierre, who had a solid camp with multiple picks, but just couldn't crack the final 53. Chuck Clark, whose future may not be over in Pittsburgh, the team might revisit safety depth soon; and Sebastian Castro, a long shot who didn't make it, but could also be a practice squad candidate. For me, the biggest shocker is still Dante Kent making it despite missing nearly all of camp. The runner-up? Chuck Clark not sticking, given how thin the team is at true defensive safeties. The Steelers' roster already adds some surprises, but with Omar Khan calling the shots, you get the feeling the moves aren't done yet.